What is something about the company you work for that they would not like the customer to know? I manage a major retail account for a shipping company. They pay us to move their freight across the country, then deliver it to their retail outlets. They pay for a whole trailer which they rarely fill, then bolt seal to avoid tampering. We take that trailer across town to our facility, break the seal, to backfill it with our own shit, damaging much of theirs in the process. Then send it on to the destination on their dime rather than ours. When it arrives, we scan things as damaged in transit to avoid liability and report their original seal number back to them, so it looks like they're shoddy loading rather than us blatantly crushing their stuff with forklifts. Also, as a result, their product moves across the country in an unsealed trailer. This is a fairly common practice in the industry. Just got laid off by New Day Limited, formerly known as AskReddit Limited until a very recent and very pointless rebrand. Home of the infamous Aqua Card, Marbles and Opus credit cards. Actually, technically, I worked for a major multinational corporation. They paid to do their dirty work, collect debts. In the UK, these cards are running everyone into the ground. Every other call I took on a daily basis, so maybe 45 out of 90, was to set up a payment plan, go through an income and expenditure form because the customer was in financial difficulties and couldn't make their minimum payments. These cards are specifically targeted at people with poor credit histories. It is completely common for them to be issued to the unemployed. When a customer is put on a payment plan or some kind of debt management strategy, we act, and they perceive, as though we're doing them a big favor. In actual fact, everyone at the company is 100% aware at least half the accounts will be defaulted on. So yeah. Add New Day Limited, AskReddit Limited, First Data Corporation to your shit list. Literally the devil. Don't give me any shit about how if they couldn't afford it they shouldn't take out the credit cards. Many credit cards I'm totally fine with. These cards in particular I think are morally wrong. No corporation should be allowed to issue the vulnerable, unemployed and mentally handicapped a credit card charging in excess of 40% APR. They're sucking wealth from the poorest in society and putting it into the hands of their boardroom directors and managers. So we say everything is made in America. Oh yeah. We just order the stuff from China and grind off any identifying marks that could identify the company or country we get it from. We tell people that our products comply with the American Reinvestment and Recovery Act and even supply some government agencies. I am scared that someday, somehow, we will be found out and get sued. Open bracket. Former law firm assistant. Lawyers I worked with don't license their software. BC $300 for a legitimate seat is too expensive while billing clients $300 to $400 an hour. Also, look for the metadata in your legal documents you paid your attorney to author. Few lawyers know anything about technology and the metadata could reveal a previous client or even another firm. That means you paid for a plagiarized document. The previous client paid and then you paid. Most attorneys I worked with, not very many, did not like using written fee agreements. Written fee agreements are in my favor as a consumer to use. Attorneys like to block bill. Look it up. Block billing reduces documentation you want and increases fees they charge. Its standard is the warning phrase I use to find another attorney. I follow up every conversation with an email to document our discussion. Due dates, documents, process, etc. Helps me remember and keep my bill low. The company that I work for just now has a new policy called by management the Happy Guest policy. So in short, it means that you can use as many coupons that you want on any items you want. There were limitations, and now even expired coupons can be used. You can even use the same coupon on pretty much your entire purchase if you ask. We cannot say no to our guests. I worked for American Express. American Express owns a company called American Express Publishing. Guess what they do? They print books and magazines for AE customers. Here's the catch. Every year a book is published called Food and Wine, insert year here, and sent to AE customers. The book costs around $85 and is just billed to your account. Now, since these are charge cards and not credit cards, The majority of customers pay the balance in full every month. So if you do not watch your bill carefully, you'll pay $85 for a book you did not order and think you get as a perk of the card. The books come automatically, and the only way to opt out of it is a postcard sent to your address that you have to check opt out. You ready for the kicker? Even if you opt out this year in 2014, you will get one next year. You must opt out each year of publication. Whenever customers called, we instantly gave a credit for the book. A knows it's a scam and makes way more money than it loses with this one. I work for a phone and internet company. If you tell us that you were supposed to have a credit of X amount on your bill every month, we'll put a credit on your bill every month. We don't research. Try not to be too greedy. Don't go above like 20% of your base price before taxes. We also only issue credit in $5 increments. Edit. Sorry to crush your dreams. Guys. It's Windstream. Also, my last day is Friday. If you have a business account, PM me because I don't give a fuck at this point. At a major pizza chain I used to work at, you'd think that the veggies would be the cheaper toppings. But actually most of the meat, including the chicken, was much cheaper than, say, the tomatoes. I know this isn't too damaging, but it makes you wonder, how do we get meat to be so cheap? And consequently, what are we really eating? You know the $450 hour attorney fee you're paying? He's not even looking at your case. And he pays me $25 hour to take care of it and figure it out. Also, when you go to hearings, there is about a 50% chance you'll see him on the phone beforehand, asking me to describe what you look like, if I can make him laugh with my description. He buys me lunch. Want to know the difference between a made in Mexico fender and a made in America fender? Price. Both are made the exact same way by Mexicans. I was offered a job to potentially work for the custom shop section of Fender in Corona, California, and when I went to tour the factory, they really didn't want to show me the made in America section. I was happily shown the custom shop section with the master builders building great guitars with great price tags, but once I requested to see the more standard stuff, I saw a bunch of Mexicans scared shitless that I walked through the door and that maybe I was ice. In short, same guitars but hundreds of dollars more for no reason. Sorry for the crappy sentence structure. I'm working but had to chime in. I work at a higher end country club and we give out gift certificates for golfers, raffle prizes for a lot of benefit events. Somehow they end up in the hands of some people who just, to put it blunt, don't belong around our club. So we put an expiration date on the GC and tell them that we are full and can't come out the days that they want. Nothing too crazy. I just thought it was interesting when I found out these two things are illegal to do. Edit. Not a race issue. All of those games you play are Farmville, Candy Crush, 2 Dots, etc. So we're all made to scam you out of money. You're basically agreeing to play rigged casino machines. Other than the theme of the game, nothing is allowed to change the formula of the game unless it proves to increase profit. This is why you get Farmville, Cityville, Dreamville, Grocery Storeville, Cardationville. They're all the same. They're not actually fun. They just rely on your inherent need to make progress, fill up progress bars to reel you in and get you addicted for more $$$$$$$$. Edit. Puzzle games are worse because what you expect to be random pieces falling from the top of the screen or whatever are actually very calculated into not giving you the pieces you need to progress. The only way to progress is purchasing power-ups or blasting your social network graph for help. Double quote. Someone needs to make a documentary about this. Casino. Slot machines do not pay out more than they take in. Ever. They pay out 90-95% of what is put into them. Eventually. We are guaranteed to keep 5-10% of your money. Slot machines have different chances to pay out based on what they are set for. Areas that see a lot of foot traffic, buy food, finance cages, entrances, will pay more often to give the impression of people winning. But in smaller $sign amounts, see first point as to why. We can charge as much as we want for things because we allow you to use your points earned by gambling. It may feel like free money to you, but to us it is just reclaiming the money we refunded you on the slot machines, which we know we will get back. A loan of sorts. Pharmacy. We don't judge you unless we know you are abusing. And we do know when you are abusing. While we, the employees, do our best to keep prices for drugs affordable. Due to contracts, prices on most medications are 100-500% above what we pay for them. And as much as 2000% on rare medications due to the cost to obtain it and the risk of you just dying without picking it up. We purposely try to get the worst tasting, least desired brands of commonly abused drugs. Flavoring your liquid medications is a crazy overpriced monstrosity. One bottle of flavor will cost us a couple dollars and will flavor 20-50 medications that we charge $3 for. Work for Ladbrokes, UK bookmaker. If you consistently win, you will have your betting monitored and bets restricted. If you lose, you're free to keep losing. If you play on the FOTS, betting machines, you are free to do what you want, because they're fixed against you. Over your lifetime you will lose to them. UK bookmakers have to be seen to be complying with regulations i.e. not letting people get addicted. But staff are judged by how many bets profit turnover their shop takes. If you have a guy spending you accrued 1000s a week, it would be detrimental to your job to discuss with this customer if he'd like to bar himself from your shop. If shops get robbed, they reopen ASAP. If they get robbed twice, then Ladbrokes consider putting in a bandit screen. A manager was murdered in a London shop whilst working alone. Ladbrokes continue to staff shops with only one staff member at night, and have yet to inform staff as to how a person lost their life. Disclaimer. This is second-hand, and I do not proclaim it to be true. Machines manager for a Ladbrokes region once advised managers to offer free bets to customers wishing to bar themselves. Evil company. I work for the airlines. I'm sure the customer wouldn't be pleased with the amount of shit that is broken on an airplane at any given time. All legal per the FAA though. I just fly a small turboprop and it's not uncommon to have anywhere from 3-10 things not working the way they should at any given time. A favorite of mine when calling in something that is broken. Did you try turning it off and back on again? Double quote. Or the fact that it's left up to the flight crew to clean the planes in between flights. We used to have cleaning crews but those went away in an effort to cut costs during the merger. Typically we're allotted about 20-25 minutes from when we pull in to get all of the passengers off, groom the cabin and get the new passengers back on. Not much happens with cleaning aside from crossing the seatbelts and removing the trash that passengers love to put in the seat back pockets. So yeah, I would wash your hands after you fly. Luxury car dealership. Cars leave with issue and the customer owner is not aware of. Unless a customer complains about an issue or it's related to the repair in progress, we are not allowed to inform the customer of the issue unless it's safety related, and even then it depends on what the issue is. Cars that have price tags of $100, 000 plus leaving not in 100% because the company doesn't want to upsell extra work bothers the crap out of me. These cars should be 100% every time they leave here, and if anything is wrong the owner should know. US government contractor. IT field. Formerly from Verizon FNS. There are corporate and government warehouses just full of millions of dollars of shit like NetApp arrays that will just sit there and will never be used. They were purchased by the government just to be mothballed. This is your tax money, spent for the sake of keeping large companies nice and rich, and to justify budgets for government programs. This is buried. But whatever. I worked for a non-profit that set up volunteer trips overseas. A lot of times we had difficulty maintaining partnerships with schools, orphanages, hospitals, etc. because a lot of international volunteers suck. It's funny because an American, Canadian, European will go somewhere like an orphanage in Kenya or a school in Vietnam and think they're God's gift to humanity. But a lot of times they're a giant pain in the ass. Not very skilled. Don't know the language. Showing up late. Showing up drunk hungover. Missing work to go on a vacation with a local. Not mentally prepared for culture shock. Getting sick and taking up the time and resources of the facility. I could go on and on. Close bracket. Car sales dealerships. Dealerships don't make a lot of money off of cars. As in, we aren't making thousands of dollars of profit off of you when we sell you that 2008 Hyundai Sonata. We might make about $300 bucks. Most of that goes to the salesman's commission and whatever money we sunk into the car to make it presentable. We make money when you sit in the finance office. Warranties is where we make all our big money. This is also the part that could determine if your $200 month payment is now going to be a $380 month payment. I deliver room service in a high-end hotel. And any unopened alcohol delivered to a room, or brought in and left by a guest, gets resold. It gets bagged up by housekeeping, or picked up by us, brought back to our coolers, and then sold again. I think it's a little weird. Especially when it's stuff that the guest obviously brought in because we don't sell it anywhere in the resort. Edit. To reiterate, this fabulously profitable resort in a tourist city sells alcohol at a 300% minus 400% markup, 21% service charge, and delivery fee. And if the guest doesn't use it, they salvage it like some sort of Dickensian crackhead trying to scrape the barrel to pay the landlord. Also, the servers and supervisors are exempt from overtime pay by some legal voodoo. Also, the place is fucking filthy. A couple wet rags will be used to clean schmutzy shit off of service trays, then used to polish silverware, glassware. Whatever surface needs to be wiped with an unsanitary wet rag. Is the rag failing to get the silverware shiny after wiping curdled milk off a tray? Give it a quick rinse in some tap water, if you feel like it. Every time you grab a lid to put on a coffee pot is like reaching into a Schrödinger's box of cockroaches. It drives me crazy. The place gets cleaned up real good on inspection day. I guess they check in at security, so we get plenty of heads up. Sometimes I control a fleet of ambulances and manage emergency responses within a geographical area. Sometimes I have no ambulances to send. Like, at all. Because they are all unavailable, not staffed, stuck waiting at hospital. So I have to just stare at my screen and hope nobody seriously hurts themselves or, you know, dies. This period of time can last from 30 minutes to several hours, with ambulances being immediately deployed again as they become available, so you're back to having nobody. It's not a great feeling. Large investment firm here. Our financial advisors have no fucking clue. They do have access to internal research and guidance. Apple equals buy, AMD equals sell, etc. But that info is available on the market as well, e.g. from S&P. They make their money from old rich, but financially illiterate people. I caught onto this after I made a few sweet investments, and the FAR started calling me for tips. I also see their conversations with each other in a Facebook-like internal app. Used to work for Future Shop, Canadian Best Buy, and if you buy a TV with a warranty and that TV lasts the length of said warranty, which is feasible as it's normally only 4 years, before it's up, leave your TV on permanently with a few heavy blankets on it. The warranty requires them to replace a TV that burnt itself out, and after 4 years they won't have your model anymore, so you will get the newest model in that line. Buy a new warranty on your free TV and repeat. Enjoy. As one of the only assembly guys in my manufacturer, I have to retrofit parts to fit each other constantly when everything should go together without a problem. Many times I am repainting black paint that's chipped off with a permanent marker and using oil and a hammer just to get something to fit together. Have fun taking it apart to do maintenance at home because the screws are not what are holding everything together. It's because they are a bad fit, and my answer was a 8-pound dead blow hammer. For about 1 year I worked as a government contractor. I worked for a private company which was being paid by the US government to write software for them. There are a lot of things about this industry which have made me never want to pay taxes again. Backroom deals between contract holders and private companies. Rewriting entire applications, my $5 million contract, simply to spend more money, etc. Here's my favorite example. When a government official is put in charge of a budget, they will make sure that they spend the entire budget. Let's say the end of the year is coming up and they are coming in under budget. Big problem. If they come in under budget, then it is going to be difficult to ask for the same amount, or more, next year. So you will see a ramp up in spending such as unnecessary travel, dinners, hiring more contractors, which benefits the executives at private companies, who probably know the contract holders. In the end, a good amount of money is pissed away so that the individuals in charge of budgets can look good and everyone is happy, unless you pay taxes and care where your money is spent. TL. Doctor, your tax money is part of a very expensive pissing match between many government employees with a budget and private companies profit from it. A major American university is corrupt from top to bottom. Top meaning that its last president got massive checks for backroom deals with politicians. Bottom meaning that the legions of adjuncts, those people who make minimum wage teaching the vast majority of undergraduate classes, are cutting corners, half-assing, and bullshitting a significant amount of every student's education. That's not to blame the adjuncts, because they're economically squeezed to take the greatest possible number of classes. Nevertheless, every student and everyone who pays money into this system is getting screwed. During the swine flu epidemic, before it was clear that it wasn't as bad as predicted, we decided who would receive the vaccine and who wouldn't at a fairly local level. There was never enough vaccine to cover the at-risk groups. The antivirals didn't work and we planned seriously to lose a good chunk of the population. All of the vaccine and antiviral stuff in the news was a smokescreen. We genuinely expected it to be like the Spanish flu in 1914 with bodies in the streets. Public official for a municipality. We don't really work in the people's best interests. We work for our clients' best interests. Our clients are the school board, hospital, museum, police department, etc. So if one of them royally fucks up, we still need to do our best to clean up the mess. This happens way too often. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, as someone needs to help these services operate and defend themselves, but we don't go around spouting that we don't actually represent the people. Company publishes and brags about creating jobs when in actuality they had to hire a bunch of people after they cut hours to under 28 so they don't have to offer health insurance. And then blaming litigation, when it was directly their decision to save money with this strategy. Wouldn't it make more sense to pay a good wage to full-time employees who might stick around and get good at their jobs? Increasing productivity, efficiency, reliability, and directly impacting the customer experience? I am ashamed of the fact that I work for a company who adopts this philosophy. I used to work in the fruit and veg section of Morrison's, a supermarket chain in the UK. My job was to walk around checking the sell-by date on items and collect those going out of date the next day, as well as selling carrots, apples, potatoes, etc. in 1 kilogram bags. We also sold them loose so that people could buy just one or as many as they needed. I think this is the same for supermarkets in the US, but maybe not. Anyway, the majority of the loose produce you buy has just been emptied out of a pre-packaged bag that has gone past its sell-by date. When you call a cable company, and your call drops randomly, so you have to call back, that isn't random. Customer service reps, CSRs, are judged on bullshit metrics, including average call length. Many calls go over the average accepted call length. So, to bring their average back down, CSRs have to hang up on a few calls a day. Those 9-second calls bring their averages in line with job requirements. They hate it. 2. CSRs also add pay services you didn't ask for onto your account under their employee number. Then remove those services and zero out charges under another rep's number to meet their sales quotas. You might call, but you will be told we upgraded your software and added it on by mistake, and caught it before you were charged. There is no customer service in cable. Just sales. Driven by made-up metrics based in no earthly reality by VPs who have never spoken to a customer in life. My former employer, that rhymes with jujitsu, Made a routine process out of finding small startups with interesting tech, promising them a joint development venture, then giving their designs to the in-house development teams to get a build on their basic ideas and get a boxed product on the shelves before the people in the startup were even aware. Give them just enough cash advances to keep them from signing anything. Hey, you just take the money. We haven't even signed anything yet, so this is all yours. We can call it a consulting fee. We'll draw up papers when we get to a point where you're ready to release. Double quote. And of course they never have enough money to defend themselves and W out anything signed. It's all too late. They still do this to this day. Easily 25% of their company is based on stolen tech, products and services. It's way cheaper to throw 5-100k at someone and steal their product than it is to do a buyout. They literally make billions off crushing startups. Feel free to take legal action. Here are the 7 firms that represent us. Pick one. Double quote. Oh, and this was always done through an intermediary as well. Hi, I'm Greg and I'm the lead developing consultant working with Jujitsu, and they've authorized me to, further insulating themselves from any possible actions. I work for a defense contractor that specializes in basically doing the thinking for the federal government. We are paid via no-bid contracts because we save them money. We rarely work more than 2 real hours in a given day. I bring beer to work for the whole office, homebrewer, once a month, and people get hammered and then return to work. We have a 1959-minute rule that basically says you can charge anything to main work so long as it's less than a full hour. Analytical tools I create recycle the same core code over and over, with small changes. We code in MacLeod. We regularly talk about how fucking stupid the government is for paying us so much. My first month I was told to slow down on completing tasks or there wouldn't be any work available for me to charge to, and that would look bad for everyone else. The company I work for has a collection box for breast cancer research. Sells bags covered in pink ribbons. And every October the whole place is filled with pink merchandise and flyers to help raise money. My manager was diagnosed with breast cancer, and ever since her bosses have been pushing her to leave. But if she left work she would lose her health insurance and be unable to pay for her treatments. Not to mention she's a single mother with young kids and needs the income. So she comes in sick as a dog from chemo to get the mandatory almost 50 hours to keep her bosses at bay. I'm not even going to touch on how other employees are treated. Baker. The vast majority of baked and store bread, muffins, and pastries can be traced back to about 5 companies that supply everyone from your independent small baker, to grocery chains, to wholesale clubs. I always laugh when people come into my store and rave about the local bakery's rolls being so much better when they use the exact same pre-made dough we do. I used to work there. Cake and cake products are even fewer. 3 companies provide 90% of the cakes you see in stores. And I've honestly never seen a cheesecake in any store that wasn't made by the same company and then private labeled with a store brand or under a different company's name. A Walmart in the Inland Empire area of Southern California. I'm using a throwaway because as much as I hate it, I actually do need this job. Hazardous waste disposal bins are located 1 foot away from a rack used to store food products. This is not an exaggeration. Televisions and other sensitive, high-value electronics are often dropped on the ground. No inspection is ever made to see if the product is damaged. Employees are forced to use an unsecured 2-foot-wide metal ramp to unload trucks because the store refuses to pay to have the docking ramps repaired. Several injuries and close calls have already happened. Employees often do not report serious injuries for fear of management retaliation. There is a cockroach infestation near and in the food storage coolers. An alarmingly large number of employees have had to go on medical leave because of severe reactions to insect spider bites. Home Depot. Every employee is given, by the CEO, $50 worth of wiggle room to put the customer first. This means every deal hole that works there has the ability to knock $50 off your purchase. There are times when employees are urged not to use it, but all have the ability. This includes price matching, up to the $50 level. It is against company policy to question the customer. Hint. Tell them it costs $45 less at Lowe's. They will meet and beat for a savings of $49. 50. Poof, you have a drill for cheap and no proof is necessary. Close bracket. Also, anything that is on a green handwritten tag they want to get off their books and they will give you money off. All discounts are going to be higher on Mondays and Tuesdays, start of budget week, and even larger early in the month. Want to buy a bunch of clearance stuff they have? Has it been there a little while? Not in a hurry? Ask for the department manager and ask them if they can cut you a deal. And let them know you don't mind waiting. I used to give big discounts on big clearance orders if they bought on the first day of my fiscal month. That way I could budget for it. That all our passwords are the same or just a variant in numbers. We can all access each other's accounts, and if we don't, we just ask for the password. It makes life easier for when somebody is on holidays and only he has a specific access to fix a problem. For example, the only reason we do this is because security is so tight and the deadlines are so awful that going through the right paperwork to grant temporary access would cost us money because it takes too long. Now, no biggie you'd think. But I work in IT and our clients are some of the biggest in aerospace industry. They take security very seriously. If I was savvy enough, I could easily plant a backdoor in one of the programs through the account of someone higher up. I could stop a missile launch, costing millions. Or find out the administrator's password and sell it on the black market to terrorists, making myself millions. Pedophiles work at theme parks. I mean, a lot of them. They work there to get close to your kids. How do they get the job? Well, they've never had charges pressed, so they don't have a record. What if they do have a record? Pedophiles also move close to theme parks and buy annual passes so that they can take creepy pictures of your kids when you let them go to the bathroom by themselves. I don't want to upset you. I just want you to think before you leave your 5-year-old out front when you go into a ride. Stop doing that before you go to the parks. Take a picture of your kid, front and back. Have meet-up places if you get separated. Have a code word that someone can tell them to let them know it's okay to go with them. Use logic. You're on vacation. That's great. But use logic, people. Just because you're at the happiest place on earth, there's still horrible people that want to ruin it for you. And for God's sake, if you're going in a ride, don't leave your Chanel bag lying in your stroller that you park outside. The amount of money I see wasted here is astounding. There's a place called the RP-80 yard where they incinerate everything in an effort to reduce US presence in Afghanistan. It doesn't matter how expensive or reusable it was. Just destroy it so we don't have to worry about sending it home or finding someone to sell it to. MRAPs, for example, cost about $500. 000 for a vanilla truck. There is an endless field of them on Bagram waiting to be shredded and sold for scrap. They weigh in at about 30,000 pounds and are sold for 93 cents pound. Call it $30. 000 of scrap metal. Even though it's probably a lot less. I guess the customers are taxpayers. Edit. From my understanding, most of it is being bought locally and then resold to China. I can't find any corroborating sources, but that's just what I've heard through the RP-80 grapevine. Also, shipping them all home would be my second to last option. I would sooner sell them to other governments at a discount. I made this argument to a lady I met doing cost analysis here, and her response was we wouldn't want to give our tactical advantages to other countries. Which is an argument I've heard several times. The thing is, MRAPs are designed to be counter-IED. We don't fight with those tactics. So what do we care if other governments have MRAP type capabilities? In a conflict, it doesn't much matter if it's an MRAP or a bicycle. If we hit it with a small, it's not driving anymore. Used to work at the Levi's flagship store in San Francisco. We had a pair of the oldest known Levi's in existence framed on the wall in the boutique. And every now and then some out-of-towner would come in boasting about how rich they were and how Levi's represents the American dream. Yada yada. And demand the rarest thing in the store as a memento. We were told to direct them to the torn up old jeans on the wall. and tell them they were from the 1880s and had been found in a barn in the early 20th century. They would then fork out $1,500 or so and be on their way with their fucked up genes. And we would replace them with another copy from the storeroom. Now that I think of it, Levi's would probably like people to know about this. What with all the assimilated working class propaganda they used to sell their pants. Distraction from the more evil shit. Unfortunately, I haven't been to a sweatshop. So those stories will have to be left to someone else.